Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. How's it going? Listen, we want to start this as we always do. I want to ask you, how are you doing? How are you faring? How are things going? You know, it's kind of strange times right now with the government shutdown, but how are you doing? Is anything touching you? I'm hoping not, although by the end of the month, I fear that people are going to start seeing things with medical insurance where it's going to cost way more than it has in previous years. Fingers crossed, but I think that is coming down the pike. I know earlier I told you about a friend whose Medicare premiums were going to go up. He knew. I think Medicare open enrollment ends December 7th, if I remember correctly, and he already knows what his is going to be. And it's an increase, and I just fear that's coming down for all of us. So how are things going with me? Fine. Essentially, there's things. Although there is one thing shutdown related that I bet none of you ever thought of because I surely had not. So, my father in law was a veteran and he passed 11 years ago and he's buried in, a military cemetery. And so there's also a plot there for my mother in law. And she passed this past summer. And so the funeral was a month ago, and we're paying to have her remains stored because with the shutdown, there's no one to bury her. And I just think that is so incredibly sad. When I watch TV of late, somebody's being blamed for it, whether it be the left, whether it be the right. I don't care. I'm not interested in the blame game. When they start that, I leave because I just don't care. What I do blame them for is not talking. The fact that the House isn't in session and not entertaining any way to end this shutdown, that it frustrates me, it infuriates me, and we're all the American people stuck in the middle of it. So I'm hopeful that this will be resolved quickly. I keep hearing things that it may not end until Thanksgiving, and that is a scary prospect to me. So, anyway, things that we didn't think would touch us actually do. So, we'll move on now. But I just kind of wanted to show you some things before we get started. So, I save my change. I try as much as possible to buy everything with cash. It's not always possible, but I do what I can. So when I do pay cash, whatever change I have left goes into this jar. And right now, we've got $48, or I'm sorry, $42. I'm $8 away from the 50 that I normally get every year. So it's at least $50, $50 to $55 every year just from saving my change. I'm not giving it to anybody else. I'm saving it for me. So, yep, I'm on track to do whatever I want with that. Say $50. We'll see. We've got a few weeks left until the end of the year, so let's just see how far I get. And before we get into it, I wanted to just, every now and again, some cooking tips or whatever. Keep in mind, I am not a cook. I like to eat. I like to eat good food, but yeah, I can't spend hours in the kitchen. That's just not me. I have family members and friends who love that sort of thing, and I love going to eat at their place. But me, it's got to be quick and dirty. So I haven't purchased pasta sauce in ages because there's no reason for me to. I make my own pasta sauce. Super simple. Couldn't be any more simple than this. 2 cans of tomato sauce. And what are they? 15 ounces, just the normal size ones you see at the grocery store. So 2 of those. 1 can I think a bug just flew in my mouth. 2 cans of those, 1 can of diced tomatoes, and 1 can of tomato paste. Just kind of thicken it up a little bit. And then what I do is 3 tablespoons of oil. I just use olive oil. That's what I've got, so that's what I use. So 3 tablespoons of that, and 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I just heat it up. And, I'm going to add some things to it just for taste. But that is your basic sauce. And I use that for if I make spaghetti. You can use it if you make a quick and dirty chicken, Parmesan chicken. Quick and dirty. We can talk about that one at another time. But that sauce, I use it for the spaghetti, the chicken Parmesan. I had never had an eggplant parm. I would see it at a restaurant, but I really don't want to spend money for something I don't know if I will like. And so we tried that eggplant parm recipe that I just found online. And it's a little bit time consuming, but it is easy. You have that eggplant, you slice it thin, then you brush it with oil and bake it. And then you use that the way you would make a lasagna, just layer after layer after layer. And the sauce that I use for that dish is the sauce that I make. There's always extra. I can freeze it. I can do whatever. It is cheap. And, what made me think of this recipe was that I was at the grocery store one day and I saw, ice cream was on sale. And every now and again, yes, I will do vanilla because I can do whatever I want to with it. So I was getting the vanilla ice cream, and I noticed a gentleman down the way looking at, those frozen meals that are kind of expensive, anywhere from $3.50 to $7 or $8 per meal. And I just wanted to say, sir, don't do it. Use that money differently. And, maybe that's what he likes. Who knows? But there's other options, other cheaper options. Like I said, I am not a cook. I want quick and dirty, but I want delicious food. So just a thought out there, folks. Use it and let us know what you think. And we'll talk about it later. So anyway, I'm in my book. Which one was this? Financial Literacy and Life Skills for Kids, ages 12 to 13. And as we've already discussed, right? We don't care that it says for kids. Teach your children about money, but learn something. Adult, learn something as well. Why not? Wherever we get our information from, does it matter? No, as long as we get the information. So, I'm in the book and I'm flipping through because the last time we chatted, I told you about a family trip that's being planned for spring of 2026 and asking if we could come. And in all likelihood, we will go. I haven't, said definitively that yes, we will be there, but I've got enough money going on that we should be able to do that comfortably. And so I saw this credit versus cash page in the book. I loved it because it gave you an idea of how much you spend using different forms of payment, right? And so what it said about using credit. So you don't have to worry about carrying a bunch of cash. Okay, that's true. You can buy more expensive items sooner. Kind of sets off alarm bells for me. Expensive items sooner. Can you actually afford it? And you might have to pay interest. Well, in all likelihood, if you put it on that card, if you felt the need to put it on the card, you're going to have to pay interest, right? And then using cash, you pay the smallest amount for items. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, but services around the house that we've undertaken, we'll ask the provider, is there cash discount? And many times there is. So just think about that. Yeah, if you do credit or whatever, yeah, they're paying to process your card. They meaning the vendor. But if you give them cash, they don't have to worry about that, and they may give you a deal. So just keep that in mind, okay? So it may take some time to save up for something expensive. Yeah, that is the trade off. And that's why I haven't said for sure we're going, because I just want to make sure I have the cash. I will use a credit card to secure our reservation, but then I'm going to turn right around and pay it off, because that's how that works. Using a credit card, now in this illustration, they're talking about a computer. So if you put it on credit, $2,208. Now, okay, it doesn't tell me, I'm assuming something along the lines of 5 to 6 months to pay it off. Yeah, possibly. But if I save up and buy that item using cash, I've spent $1,840. Yeah, I might have to save up to do it, but that's why I have a running savings account, so that I'm putting money in on a routine basis. The balance is going up, and that I have the ability to use that cash for whatever I need, right? And the other thing I want to just share with you, it's talking about credit card, interest on credit cards, and differences. And make sure you're looking at whatever your the interest is on your credit card, because the institutions are banking on you not paying attention to that, just paying whatever they say. It could be anywhere 15% for one, 12%, 27%, 20%, 22%, 18%. That bug just keeps bothering me. So there's different ones out there, and so just look at that. And for me, I don't care what the interest rate is. And let me finish that, because you want to care, but keep in mind, I pay mine off every single month. So there's where the interest rate does not matter to me, because it will be paid off. I'm not going to be paying any interest. What I'm looking at, if you get yourself to the point where you're paying off that card every month, you might want to look for the one that offers benefits, cash back. Whatever it happens to be, get the best deal for you, and just make smart decisions. And with that, we're going to get ready to wrap up. But as a reminder, you're putting money away in your retirement account, right? 401k, 403b, whatever your job offers, take advantage of that. Okay, so just make sure that you're doing that, and you've made that list of how much you are netting in your paycheck. Just make sure, put it on that sheet, just a blank sheet of paper. How much are you getting? The first line is how much you're saving, because make sure you are paying yourself first. Keep that in mind. And then whatever your bills are. And there's one thing, I keep reading about this. Some plan called a 50, 30, 20, where it's supposed to, and like I said, I'm going to look into this and get back to you on it. So the first 50% is supposed to be for your needs, to go toward your needs. The next 30% to your wants. I don't know what that means. And then the final 20%, it says savings and debt reduction. So I'm not too sure about that, but I'm going to look into it, and we'll talk about it at some point, right? We will take care of that. So we're going to get ready to wrap up here. And if you've enjoyed this and want to become a part of this community, by all means, subscribe. Okay, it's free. I will never come at you looking for money for your participation here. I wished this was available for me when, decades ago. It just would have been nice to have normal conversations about money. We're just normal folks making normal money and just looking to take care of ourselves. So join the community if you'd like, and give us a thumbs up. Leave us a note. Just kind of chat with us. We're happy to have that interaction with you. And with that, I thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne, And until next time, okay? You take care. Bye bye.